Hello and welcome back to SpriteGuard Plays HyperRogue. Today I do in fact remember what we did when we left off, and so we are going to head right back into the Land of Eternal Motion, and my game is kind of freaking out for some reason. Seems to be back to normal, so we are going to try and get ourselves that 25 Phoenix Feathers, and it looks like we are at 12. So we've got a little ways to go, but this is one of the easier areas to get those 25 treasures, and this is going to make things a lot easier later on down the line, because we're going to be able to save at more opportunities. We're going to be able to save without leaving the area that we're in, and we're also going to be able to get kind of a get-out-of-jail-free card. If things are getting kind of tense, there's a chance, at least, that we will be able to grab an orb of safety and get some room, some breathing room. And we've got this, we can refresh our Orb of Teleport, and that will allow us to, again, get a get-out-of-jail-free card, which will simplify a lot of things. And of course, when we have the dogs really chasing after us, we can just take a straight line path that will leave most of them behind, or we can drop into an orb of safety, which will just completely clear the board of both mobs and treasures, but it can be a way of, reducing the number of mobs on screen and giving you a chance to kind of reset the play field, and that was a little bit not the best idea. We're going to have to do some straight running, and it looks like things are getting a little bit not great. We have 11 more teleport left, but it looks like we are out of the woods. It's now kind of an open question whether or not we're going to get any more Phoenix Feathers this way, though. We just need 2 more. But the way that dogs are spawning, we're not getting a lot of opportunities to do that. And of course, running dogs are difficult to kill when you're in the Land of Eternal Motion proper. If we can lead them out of it, we can get some kills, which will increase the treasure spawn rate. But it looks like we don't need to do that, because there is our 25th right there. And now we just need to meet these guys, fight them off, and of course, as they move off screen because they can't reach us, they will just go away and de-aggro. Now, the Living Fjord is a bit dangerous, and I do want to be a little bit careful here. It's not one of the most difficult lands, but it is a land where we need to be cautious. Because once we get 5 treasures, we're going to start getting water elementals. And water elementals are going to make everything harder. And so it might actually be a good idea to not get that 5th treasure until we have been to sea. Because we really don't want water elementals to be pursuing us over the open ocean. And so I think we're going to back off here, and actually, you know what, I think it's a good time now to set sail and try and find those ocean lands so that we don't have to worry about them later. Now we have, let's see, 145 treasures, which is plenty for Relia and the Caribbean, and so we're going to be on the lookout for both of those. And we can take a look at this, see if this is a land. I don't see any boats whirling around in it, so yes, this is an intertidal zone. So we can follow this down, see if it is... but we've already been to Relia, haven't we? Yes, Statue of Cthulhu. So that we don't need to worry about. So we want to look for a Caribbean, and we want to look for a, what do we want to look for? A whirlpool, a warped coast, and a Caribbean, and I think that will get us started at least. Now we do want to gather up some of these. Let's see. We're on the same color as both of these ratlings, so we're going to have to come over here and chop down this tree. That will get us on the opposite color. But that will put us back on the same color. And so we need to find another tree to cut down, and there's one over here. There we go. And then we can just go back to gathering corals. And let's see, we have 3 of them, so we're still a little ways away. Let's see. We can fight this guy, good. We cannot fight either of those guys until we hit this tree, and then we'll be able to hit one of them. But then we have the other one. We will need to find a tree in order to battle it. And so here's one here, and that will get us. And then once again we have to cut that tree to get that one, and this one we can just fight without doing anything. So the Warped Coast, you know, the main thing is that where the treasures are is not where the trees are. And so you have to kind of balance between being able to manage your parity and being able to collect treasure. And it can be a little bit difficult to balance those two. Let's see, we can fight that guy directly. That guy we cannot fight, but we can fight this guy directly, and then him. And then we can grab one more. We only need one more coral, and I see one over here. And then we're just going to head straight for this ocean border. And now we are going to head for, hopefully the Caribbean is unlocked. Let's take a look at the overview. I haven't seen it, so I'm a little bit concerned. I don't remember what the requirements are. Let's see, Kraken Depths require 10 garnets, of which we have 4. Caribbean, yes, is unlocked. And so it should just be a matter of sailing around a little bit to find it. But we are getting, to a point where I'm a little bit aware of the time. I'm wondering, is it going to be wise to head straight down into the Caribbean? And we do have an orb of safety right here. We're not going to be able to find our way back to it, however. But it's good to know that that's there. Perhaps we will save after we get a few treasures here. I wanted to get that other orb of teleport, but we didn't really set ourselves up to do so. I guess if we go here, we can fight these guys off, and that will allow us to do so. Now, I don't really know, what the upshot of teleporting below some trees is. I don't know what kind of consequences that has. And so, I'm a little bit wary to actually use the orb of teleport to take us someplace we might not be able to get out of. That's something I've never really played around with. Now, of course, in the Caribbean, you have to find these compasses to figure out which way is the center of the island, and you lose the way very early on. You cannot go very far before you have to kind of recalibrate yourself. But we are getting to the point where treasures are appearing, which is really, that's all you need, is to be at a depth where treasures will appear. And then you need to move around that area, and oh boy, do we have a lot of combat. This is an area where managing combat can become a little bit difficult. And so you want to really jump on it, really be quick about it, because it can really quickly get to a point where you're just overwhelmed by stuff. And so you really want to pay a lot of attention and really keep the screen from getting too crowded. Now, I'm not really clear. Let's see. This is pointing, okay, over this way. So down to here. So we're now actually pretty deep. we are 23 deep. And so we can kind of move around a little bit and see if we can find some treasures. And because I'm colorblind, it's a little bit more difficult for me to spot them. It looks like a lot of them are places that we can't reach. But we have actually a lot of space to explore. A lot more than it might seem like. And it's difficult to explore because of the kind of the odd nature of horocycles. But like there, we found 2 more. And if we can get to the other side of this, there's a bunch. But let's see. Orbs do not spawn inside of an island. And so we couldn't rely on getting an orb of teleport. And so what I don't know is, can we get back out to the edge if we teleport across this? Now, I just realized, of course, that we're out of orb of teleport, which makes sense because we've been down here for a while. But that's something to wonder about, and I would imagine that you folks probably have an insight into this. You're often quite knowledgeable, more knowledgeable about this game than I am. Of course, because I'm doing this series, I often feel like I can't really do a lot of experimentation and risk-taking, but I've been trying to play this on my phone more often for that reason, and just trying to remember that that is an option. And so hopefully I will be remembering to do that, and also remembering to experiment with stuff, remembering to try different things, because it's really it's a game where there's so much that I still don't know, and I have so many opportunities to learn, and that's something that's really valuable to me. That's something that I really enjoy doing. But it's one of those things that as much as I enjoy doing it, I often forget how much I enjoy just learning new things about a game. So if we just wander around randomly here, we should very quickly end up in a place that we've never been to. Yeah, we're 35 deep, so just taking a random route outward should bring us to plenty of stuff we haven't seen. We're at 5 treasures. And we need to deal with some combat, but once these guys are killed off, we should be able to grab some of these. And of course we've got some parrots to deal with as well, but then we start working our way out of here, and just have to be cautious. There we go. Now these parrots are kind of making it a little bit difficult to navigate in here. They're kind of blocking stuff off. But if we stand here, we can actually get to these 2 treasures. That'll be our 8th and our 9th. And I want to check what depth we're at, because we're pretty much ready to go. We're at 18, so if we just kind of wander randomly, we're pretty likely to pass one on our way out. And it's just a matter of, will I see it in time? And of course, we can stand here, we can go deeper, we can go elsewhere. We have a lot of options, a lot of places we can explore. And most of the paths that we take are going to take us outward, but they're unlikely to take us anywhere we've ever been before. So we are back out to the shore, so we do want to go back in deeper. We can take a look where it looks like along the edge of this is going to take us deeper. And of course, as you're going inward, you're only taking one path. And so you're generally going to end up in the same places that you came from. But then once you start moving out, you're very unlikely to. And there's our last treasure right there. I do find them a little easier to spot now that the trees are 3D. I find that helps a lot. Unfortunately, my phone isn't quite powerful enough for this game. It runs at a pretty low frame rate, and I can't do the Escher, I can't do the 3D, and I can't go into the Hive, just because the performance is not really up to snuff. And it's really, that is entirely the fault of my phone. It's a pretty old phone at this point. Not something that I think is a failing of this game. So there is our Orb of Safety. In the next episode, we will, I believe, be looking for a whirlpool, trying to fail a little faster, and take on some of the hardest areas in the game, especially now that we have Orbs of Safety appearing, we have Orbs of Flash, Orbs of Teleport. Those will all be very helpful for getting around in the whirlpool. They'll give us a lot more mobility, and of course the Orb of Water is something that we would really like to have going in there, but it's not something that I feel really confident I can get. The Living Fjord gets very dangerous once you have a lot of treasures because of the water elementals. But all that is in the future. Until then, thank you very much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.